We've been talking in the last 4 weeks. Can you believe it's 4 weeks on James, through this book of James? And it's amazing that this book of James can tell you not only what to believe, but literally, in so many dimensions, how to believe. How to believe. And I think this morning it's been such a challenge. I mean, for me this week it's been a massive challenge, writing a sermon on humility. And it's amazing when you get in front of the computer and you think about it all through the weeks, and you write things down, and you think, oh, is that of me, or is that something God wants to say? Or is that of me, or is that what God wants to say? And every single time I'd write something, I was asking myself this question. And then you get to here, and God says, rely on me. I don't want you at all. I want to use you, but I don't want to use what you've done, because I want you to rely on me completely. And I think it's one of the hardest things, is allowing ourselves to be nothing and God to be everything. And one of the things we're going to try to break down today is simply that, allowing us to be nothing in this world and allowing God to be everything in this world. How can we do it? How is it possible? And it's something that's really challenged me this week, and it's something that I hope and pray that will challenge you as well. And when it comes to humility, one thing that I've come to realize within myself is that my desire is really to be humble. And I don't think really it's different from any of us. Like I think genuinely, we want to be humble people. If someone came to you and asked you whether you're humble or prideful, more than likely you'd like to say, I'm humble, right? Like that's not an assumption of mine. That would be something that I would think that you would like to be. And I think if someone said to you, you're prideful, I think if someone said that to me, I would firstly take offense, I'd think, oh, how dare you, sort of thing. But I think that's our natural desire our natural desire is to be prideful. But I think genuinely we want to be, especially when we're in a relationship with Christ, we want to be humble. So why is this so important? Why is being humble? Why is this word so important? One thing that God's made in my life a bit easier is in regard to being humble, especially over the last few years, is He's given me a wife. And I don't know how the other fathers, since it's Father's Day, I can sort of relate to you guys and other husbands that are here this morning. But just to give you a story there's been many in regard to my wife humbling me. But one of them was the other day I'd mowed the lawn, and I'd done half of the whole property out there in 2 hours. I mean, to me that's a pretty good effort. All right, I was flying on that mower. I was mission focused, and I was wanting to get this done. And I was so impressed with myself, and finally Cass came home, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be great, she's going to love it. And then she looked out and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's all right. Next thing she says, straight away, and that's actually the only thing I think she said. Oh, look at there's heaps of patches that are missing, that you missed. And straight away, I was from this point of being so prideful to being completely humble. And I think God uses Cass in my life, and I tell you, it wouldn't be any other way. She's amazing. I love her, but it's God uses her in so many ways. I love this quote that John Ortberg says. He said, "We'd like to be humble, but the thing is, what if no one notices? We'd like to be humble, but what if no one notices?" And I think it's so often the case that this desire in our mind to be humble fights against this inner desire of pride that we genuinely have, which is a natural desire. So here's the thing, why is God so against pride in our lives? Why is God so against it? And why does He even go to the point of saying, if you are prideful, then you're my enemy? If you are prideful, then you're my enemy. To go to that extreme in saying something like that, why is that the case? And I want to put this in context, okay? Just because we sin does not mean we're God's enemy. But God is saying He is completely against pride in our life. Let's get that clear. So I've got here, pride is the loss of humility. it is the root of every sin and evil. See, it was when Satan started looking upon himself. See, Satan was in heaven. Satan was God's best angel. But Satan started looking at himself and started thinking, gee, what if I were to be God? What if I could have his power? What if I could be in control? And started losing his sight in the truth that in God there is nothing more that we need. And this is where it came to Adam and Eve even. This was the whole foundation of Adam and Eve and why they sinned. Satan said, if you sin, I'll enable you to think everything that God thinks. I'll enable you to have all knowledge. In other words, they wanted to be more than what they were. They wanted to be above themselves. And so they sinned. You see, the reason God is so against our pride in our lives is because it gives Satan a foothold. Okay, it gives Satan a foothold. So, this morning, I just simply want us to be honest with ourselves. That's all I want us to do. It's something that I've done this week and will continue to do. But rather than thinking about, which I find so easy to do, is blame someone else or think about someone else and what they're not doing, I really want us this morning just to really think about how we act, how we believe, how we think, and really think about where pride sits in our life. And there's a few questions I just want to ask ourselves. Is firstly, why is it important? And realize that for yourself. Secondly, to ask yourselves the tough questions about if you've got some pride in your life, if you've got some self-centeredness, if you've got some things that are really, in the end, drawing you away from God. Am I willing to change? Am I willing to give them to God? Am I willing to submit to his authority and allow him to make a change in my heart, in my mind, and renew it? And I just want to say up front that with Satan, the reason for us, it is our foundation to every sin that we do and the foundation to our actual sinful desire. That's the actual reason, because it is pride. That's what Satan had. Okay, so that's what Satan still has. So this is pride. This is the negative side of it. And I just want us to think, how do we combat something that is so natural? How do we combat something that is so ingrained in us? How do we combat that? James talks about the impacts of this pride and how it impacts our lives. In James 4, 1-5, it says, "What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it. So you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. And even when you do ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what gives you pleasure. You want only what gives you pleasure." See, as Matt said earlier, the focus isn't on the fighting. The focus isn't on the fact that we come against other people. The focus is on within us. What is causing you to fight? What is causing couples to fight against each other? What is causing parents to fight against their kids? What is causing friendships to suffer? What is causing relationships to break down? And there's so many other things. And it's such a broad thing. But what is it that's causing it? See, in this world,